Today we're going to talk about Chapter 13. You did the code listings. 13 does come right after 12, but we did 12 a little early this semester because just to change it up and get into some GUIs so that you could use them in some of your programs, and a bunch of you did. You liked using them and practicing them, and that's really good. But we're coming back to 13, which normally follows right up after 12. Okay. And what are we doing in 13? Well, we're taking a look at more things we can put in our GUIs. We did up to this point basically setting the stage and the scene, and we did a bunch of different layouts, but we really didn't get into other things that we could put onto a page. Well, the first thing that we're going to step into today, section 13.1, is this .css, these cascading style sheets. And you did the code listing, most of you, almost all of you, and you know that this is a great way to set the font, the background, the text, the border, and all these different things on your labels or on your buttons to make the appearance of your GUI look a little bit better than what it was before. And it's also very useful in HTML. Thank you, Harrison. All right, so what do we have? We have a layout, and it's not too bad. And again, we'll be able to go through this kind of quick because we're going to start building on a project. And I'm taking a look at the way this is laid out. First thing I do is I have a selector. What do I want to change? Labels, all labels. I want to set them up with a property. I want to change their font size and a value, font size 20. So as you went through these code listings, you notice how we could work with different selectors, like in this example, a label, and a whole bunch of different things that I could change. You know, those of you that have 162, you know, I hate the black screen to death, and I wanted you to change a lot of things, but like font size. And, you know, it's not a lot that I need to write down, but as a lot of you have heard me say before, tables in the book, tables in the book are usually great, just like when he has bulleted items in the book. They're noteworthy and should be taken a look at. So here I'm going to take a look at the selectors, the word I just mentioned a moment ago. What selectors can we change? Well, we knew some of the basics like button and label and hoi polloi, text field, text area, but here's all kinds of different things that we'll be able to use as our selectors. Today, we're going to talk about radio buttons, and we're going to also talk about check boxes. So there's two more that you haven't really heard of before the code listings, but now you know what they are, and we're going to be able to set those up with these style sheets so that they can display a little more appealing than not. Second thing were my properties. You know, I had that selector up top, and then I took a look at what properties I can change, and then it was the values after it. So if I want to change a property like alignment, we know our alignments, left, center, right. What is justify? Anybody know what that does? Well, did you ever see something where it's left justified as well as right justified? Yeah, Harrison got it good. It fills the line all the way across so that every line starts in the same position and would actually end in the same position. So it adds extra spaces inside of the lines and different things. Okay, it's different fonts. There's probably way more than this that we can use. You know, you can find your favorite font and type it in, see if it works. And then, of course, you start doing your sizes, like this text, for instance. Yes. All right, font styles, font weights. We know some of those. So those two tables are actually really good to have available. And just some more things down here. Font width, border color. Border color is kind of good. All right, so if I take a look, what if I want to have multiple ones? I can. Quick example out of the book. You know, this book has a lot of words, but the examples are really working in this section of this chapter. cursive, 14-point italic, bold, dotted. We're at the point now where we know what all those things were. Back in the 80s, we didn't have all of that. We had Times Roman 12. That was it. And that's the way our printers work too. So you started taking a look at some things going on here in 13.1. We set one up and done. We save it as a cascading style sheet. Boom. The selector, any properties and any values. So now that I have that set up, where do I use it? Well, I'm going to use it when I get ready. And you typed in the code listing, so you know this. When I'm putting my scene together, I'm going to add my style sheet. Great piece of cake. Here was one style sheet. Code listing 13.3 was a style sheet. 13.4 was a style sheet. And when I came over to here, you know, I was able to add different style sheets. Any questions? No? I didn't have you type this one in, but here's one for root. What does the root selector do? Give me a D word.
Default.
Yeah, it defaults everything to this font. So everywhere will now have this font. If I want to add more to my labels, I can make it 14-point in bold. But it didn't make much sense for me to have you type this in. I should have just had you type in that style sheet so that you could see that there are multiple options. And again, this program wouldn't have worked because it says demo 2, and actually our style sheet is demo 3. So that wouldn't have gone over so well. What else do we have going on? Start talking about colors down here. Here's a style sheet, text fill, and it's a hex code. Background color, it's a hex code. And you folks are smart enough to know that you could go and look up on Google a list of colors and their hex numbers and find the one you want. Another way to represent them, the ever popular RGB. RGB is what?
Red, green, blue.
Yep, red, green, and blue. And it's how much red, how much green, and how much blue to put into it. And then finally, we have a list of, it just makes it a whole lot easier if we say fill it with an actual color name. My personal favorite is plum. No, just plum. Okay. What if I want to create a special style sheet? What if I want to have a button that I want to be black and a button that I want to be white? So before we were just doing buttons, but I can actually do multiple buttons. We have 2 to the 24th power possible codes with a 256 is 2 to the 8th, 16, 24. Sounds right to me. Look at you doing college algebra level work there, adding exponents together. All right, so we went through and all that's good. Style sheets. Looked at a bunch of code listings. Okay, section 13.2. Got into this a little bit. Something called a radio button. And you've seen radio buttons before. You may have remembered what they were or not. But this is one where only one of them is active. So here's a dumb question. Why do they call them radio buttons? Anybody? If you have a car, you probably have a radio in a car. And you see a list of buttons. And if you push one, it goes to that station. If you push another one, it goes to that station. If you push the first one, it goes back to that station. They're mutually exclusive. Each one represents its own thing. Okay. When we take a look at radio buttons, we're going to put them in what's called a toggle group. The reason for that is we may want to have more than one set of radio buttons display. And as we start taking a look at a program, we're going, oh, maybe, yeah, that's kind of true. But we have the radio buttons. Quickie example, taking a look at them, is we create the buttons, we create the toggle group. Now these 3 buttons, radio 1, radio 2, radio 3, are designated in this toggle group. So only one of them can be selected. How do we find out if it's selected or not? If radio 1 dot is selected. We can set them to default to nothing. We can set them to default to the whole gang. If you go on the D2L right now, I gave you something called metric converter. You can load it up. It was too long for me to ask you to type in. So we run enter a distance in kilometers, 100 kilometers. And if I hit convert, it is now 62 miles. So yeah, that's the whole, if I run a 10K, I'm actually running 6.21 miles. And of course, a 5K is 3.1. All right. And then I could click on convert to feet. The button convert to feet. Yeah. So you notice how my handler is for when convert is clicked. It's not set for the actual radio buttons, but I'm pretty sure you can do that if you want. And we're going to see some things later when we talk about mouse click and how as soon as you click the mouse, an event would happen. Any questions? Okay. Next thing with the radio button, the one you typed in was one with pictures. And hopefully you went and found 2 pictures. You were able to add them in here. One was a flower, one was a sunset, or whatever you wanted to have them be. And, you know, in your code, you had, let's see, register an action event handler for the radio buttons. Okay, so this is what I was just talking about a minute ago. If I click flower, boom, da 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 da. Did any of you actually go and get pictures and do it? Yeah, some of you did upload, so I know you did. That was section 13.2, radio. Ryan did a puppy and a kitten. Okay, yeah, that's good. That's good. Section 13.3, the last one we're going to talk about today, are controls. It allows the user to click on a checkbox control. Okay, and again, when I take a look at it, and all of a sudden I'm thinking, is it getting to be lunchtime yet? We get this whole pepperoni, cheese, and anchovy. And how many of those do I want? You know, do I want one? Do I want cheese? They never put enough cheese on. $3 is a lot for pepperonis. But if I clicked on none of them, get total. If I clicked on 2 of them, so forth and so forth. And there was a code listing that went along to match up with this. Okay, so again, we were dealing with check boxes. Has a square box and it has a label. And when I click on it, it puts a check in it. Hence the name, checkbox. All right, so it's easy to talk about. It's easy to type in code listings, but you know as well as I do, we need to get ready and we need to do something. So what I want you to do is, I want you and your group, small group. Now, actually, this is not a group project. I just remembered. This is going to be individual. I want you to create Sal's Pizza. Okay, Sal's Pizza. All right. I need a style sheet. It has radio buttons in. You're going to pick the size of a pizza. Small, medium, large. You can put in extra large if you want. Extra cheese is 50 cents. Triple cheese is $1. Pepperoni is 50 cents. And pineapple is 75 cents. If the person clicks on order, it's going to display what their current order is. Close it. They want to know what the price is. Tell me what the price is at that point.